Jiho stepped off the transport shuttle and took his first breath of recycled air inside the Galactic Assembly Station. The space station floated in orbit around a purple planet, though to Jiho it just looked like a gray ball with darker gray clouds. Everything around him seemed dull and colorless, but he assumed the aliens simply preferred dim lighting, or used metals that didn't reflect much light. 3 other humans walked beside him. Hyunwoo was a military officer with sharp eyes and a serious face. Sumin carried data tablets filled with information about alien biology. Nari smiled warmly. Her job was to help everyone understand each other's cultures. Together they were humanity's first real diplomatic team to meet the galaxy. The hallway stretched ahead of them, and Jiho noticed something odd. The walls seemed to shift somehow, but he couldn't quite explain how. It wasn't movement exactly. Maybe the lighting was changing? He shook his head and kept walking. A tall alien approached them. It had forearms and skin that looked rough like tree bark. The alien's body seemed to shimmer slightly, and Jiho wondered if that meant something in alien body language. He made a mental note to watch for these patterns. "Welcome, humans," the alien said through a translation device that hung around what Jiho thought might be its neck. "I am Vilmorth, keeper of the archives. The Assembly is curious about your species." Jiho bowed respectfully, a gesture he hoped worked across species. "Thank you for receiving us. Earth is honored to be here." They walked through more gray corridors to a massive room filled with aliens of every shape and size imaginable. Some had tentacles, others had wings, and a few didn't seem to have any recognizable features at all. Hundreds of species gathered here, all of them watching the humans with various types of eyes. The welcoming ceremony began. Aliens made sounds, flashed lights, and moved in patterns that the humans tried to interpret. Nari whispered to Jiho that she thought some species were changing their body surfaces, but the humans couldn't quite tell what the changes meant. When it was humanity's turn, Jiho presented their gift, a complete database of Earth's culture. It contained music, art, books, videos, and histories, everything humanity wanted to share with the galaxy. Vilmorth accepted the gift with 2 of its 4 arms. "We will study this with great interest," it said. Over the next few days, things started to get strange. The humans set up their quarters and began attending meetings. But everywhere they went, aliens seemed confused by human behavior. At breakfast in the station's dining area, Hyunwoo reached past 3 different food dispensers to get to a 4th one. An alien asked him why. Hyunwoo said the food in that dispenser looked fresher. The alien stared at him with what might have been confusion. "They all look the same," it said. During a cultural exchange session, Sumin showed images of Earth's forests. She talked about green leaves and brown bark and how beautiful Earth's nature was. The aliens listened politely but seemed puzzled. One asked why humans had so many different words for tree parts that looked identical. "They don't look identical," Sumin said, frustrated. "The leaves are green, the bark is brown, the flowers are every shade you can imagine." "Shade?" the alien asked. "You mean brightness levels?" "No, I mean colors. Different colors." The alien made a noise that the translator couldn't interpret. The meeting ended awkwardly. The real trouble started when Vilmorth began reviewing Earth's art and literature. The archive keeper called an emergency meeting with Jiho. When Jiho arrived, Vilmorth seemed agitated, its forearms moving in quick patterns. "Ambassador Jiho, we have found a serious problem with your database," Vilmorth said. Jiho's heart sank. "What kind of problem?" "Your translation matrices are broken. You have thousands of words that mean the same thing. Look at this." Vilmorth displayed text on a screen. Crimson, scarlet, ruby, cherry, cardinal, burgundy, maroon. These all translate to the same concept in every galactic language. Why do humans need so many words for the same thing? Jiho frowned. "But those aren't the same thing. They're all different types of red. What is red?" The question hung in the air. Jiho opened his mouth and then closed it. "How do you explain color to someone who seemed not to understand the concept?" "Red is..." Jiho struggled. "It's a color. It's what blood looks like. What fire looks like. What some flowers look like. Blood, fire, and flowers all look different to us," Vilmorth said. "Different brightnesses, different textures. But you say they look the same to you?" "No, they all share the same basic color, but..." Jiho stopped. Something was very wrong here, and he was starting to understand what it might be. Vilmorth continued. "We believe your species may have a translation error in your language systems. This will need to be corrected before you can join the assembly. Redundant words cause confusion. Jiho felt cold despite the warm station air. I don't think it's a translation error, he said quietly. I think we need to talk to your medical experts. Something bigger is happening here. Vilmorth's arms went still. What do you mean? I mean, Jiho said carefully, that humans might see the world differently than you do. Literally differently. Yuna stood in front of the Education Council with her hands shaking slightly. She was a scientist, not a public speaker. But someone had to explain human culture to these aliens. Behind her, a massive screen displayed some of Earth's greatest artworks. The council chamber was filled with 12 different species. They sat in strange chairs designed for bodies that had different numbers of legs, arms, and other parts Yuna couldn't identify. All of them were watching her presentation with various types of eyes. This is one of our most famous paintings, Yuna said, showing Starry Night by Van Gogh. The artist created it while he was struggling with mental illness. Humans find it deeply moving. She waited for a reaction. The aliens looked at the screen, then at each other, then back at the screen. One of them, a being that looked like a floating jellyfish, made a gurgling sound. I do not understand, the alien said through its translator. This is a texture study. Why is it famous? Yuna blinked. It's not a texture study. It's a painting of the night sky. Look at the beautiful swirling blues and the bright yellow stars. The way the colors move and flow, it expresses emotion. Another council member spoke up. This one had 6 legs and crystals growing from its back. I see only varying shades of brightness and some textured brush strokes. There is no movement. It is a static image. Yuna felt frustration building in her chest. She changed the image. Okay, what about this one? The great wave off Kanagawa. Look at the dramatic blue of the wave, the white foam, the brown boat, the peaceful sky. Silence filled the room. The alien stared at the screen with what Yuna was starting to recognize as confusion. A council member named Thexan leaned forward. Thexan had scales and too many teeth. Human Yuna, I will be direct. We see a gray wave with some textured areas that are slightly lighter gray. The boat is dark gray. The sky is medium gray. This image is not dramatic. It is boring. Yuna felt her face grow hot with anger and embarrassment. How can you say that? This is one of the most recognizable artworks in human history. The colors are incredible. There you go again with this word colors, Thexan said, sounding annoyed. You keep using words we do not understand. What are colors? Colors are... Yuna stopped. She had the same problem Jiho had the day before. How do you explain something so basic? Colors are different types of light. Red light, blue light, green light. You see them differently. We see light as bright or dark, Thexan said. There are no types. Yuna pulled up another image, almost desperate now. It was a traditional Korean minhwa painting with bright reds, yellows, greens, and blues. Tigers and magpies filled the scene with vibrant life. What about this? Can you see the different elements here? The red tiger stripes? The blue feathers? The green bamboo? The council members looked at each other. The jellyfish alien spoke quietly to the crystal alien. Finally, Thexan stood up. Human Yuna, these images do not demonstrate artistic merit. They appear to be simple studies of texture and brightness levels. If this is the best Earth has to offer, we question whether your species is culturally developed enough for assembly membership. Yuna felt tears of frustration threatening to form. Her whole body shook with emotion. You're wrong. These are masterpieces. They show skill and passion and beauty and... Why do you become so emotional about great pictures? Thexan demanded. Before Yuna could respond, a small alien in the back of the room raised what might have been a hand. It had 6 limbs and moved in a way that reminded Yuna of a praying mantis. May I speak? The alien asked quietly. Researcher Prill, you may, Thexan said, sitting back down. Prill came forward, moving carefully. I have been studying the human database. I noticed something interesting. Humans do not just use emotion words for art. They use them for many things. The sky, plants, objects, even other humans. So? Thexan asked. So humans say things like the beautiful blue sky or the ugly brown mud or the pretty pink flower. They assign strong emotional reactions to things based on properties we cannot measure. I think... Prill paused. I think maybe humans can detect something we cannot. The council erupted in noise. Multiple species talked at once in languages that made the translators buzz and click and hum. Thexan raised a limb for silence. That is impossible, Thexan said. Every sapient species in the assembly sees electromagnetic waves in the visible spectrum. Light is light, but what if humans see it differently? Prill asked. Una felt hope rising in her chest. Yes, that's exactly it. We keep trying to tell you about colors, but you can't see them. It's not that our art is bad. It's that you're missing the main part of what makes it art. Thexan looked skeptical. This sounds like an excuse for presenting poor quality work. It's not an excuse, Una said firmly. Look, I can prove it. You say all these paintings look gray to you, right? But to humans, every single one is full of different colors. Blues, reds, yellows, greens, purples, oranges. We have names for hundreds of different colors. If we were making this up, why would we all agree? Why would all of human history be filled with references to things you can't see? Prill made a chittering sound that might have been excitement. She makes a good point. Millions of humans across thousands of years have all described these colors consistently. That suggests they are perceiving something real. Or it suggests they have a cultural delusion, Thexan countered. But other council members were starting to look uncertain. The jellyfish alien spoke up. Perhaps we should investigate this further before rejecting human cultural artifacts. Prill is right that it would be strange for an entire species to have consistent hallucinations. Thexan clearly wasn't happy, but nodded. Very well. Researcher Prill, you will investigate these claims. Human Una, you will provide whatever data Prill needs. We will reconvene when we have answers. As the council dismissed, Prill approached Una. I believe you, the small alien said. I do not know what colors are yet, but I believe humans experience something we do not. We will figure this out together. Una smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. Thank you, Prill. I promise you, when you finally understand colors, it will change everything you know about the universe. Deho sat in the medical examination room and tried not to be nervous. The Corvellian doctor Zemrith moved around him with 4 tentacles that held various scanning devices. Zemrith's body was mostly transparent, and Deho could see things moving inside it that were probably organs. This is required for all new species. Zemrith explained in a bubbling voice. We must ensure you carry no diseases harmful to other assembly members. It is routine. I understand, Deho said. He was a medical officer himself, so he knew the importance of these checks. Still, being examined by an alien doctor felt strange. Zemrith began with basic scans of Deho's body. The doctor made interested noises as the data appeared on screens around them. Fascinating. Your bone structure is quite different from most species. And this internal temperature regulation system, very efficient. Deho relaxed a bit. Zemrith seemed genuinely curious rather than threatening. Now let us examine your sensory organs, Zemrith said. A device lowered in front of Deho's face. Look into this, please. It will scan your visual receptors. Deho stared into the device. Lights flashed in patterns and he felt nothing but saw strange shapes appearing and disappearing. After a few minutes, the device pulled back. Zemrith was completely still. All 4 tentacles had stopped moving. Is something wrong? Deho asked. I must run this test again. Zemrith said slowly. Please look into the device once more. Deho did. The same lights flashed. When the device pulled back again, Zemrith was making a high-pitched noise that the translator didn't interpret. Doctor? Deho felt worried now. Your eyes, Zemrith said, and the translator made the words sound shocked. They have 3 types of cone cells. Is that bad? It is impossible. Zemrith moved quickly around the room, pulling up data on multiple screens. Every sapient species in the galaxy has 1 type of cone cell. 1. It detects electromagnetic waves in the visible spectrum. But you have 3 different types. 3, Deho blinked. Maybe I'm unusual? Some humans have vision problems. I need to scan the others, Zemrith interrupted. All the other humans now. Within an hour, Jiho, Hyunwoo, Suman, Nari, Una, and 3 other humans from the delegation were all in the medical bay. Zemrith scanned each of their eyes carefully. With each scan, the doctor became more agitated. All of them, Zemrith kept saying. All of them have 3 types. The chief biologist arrived. Her name was Rethvon, and she looked like a large insect with golden armor. She repeated all of Zemrith's tests, then ran new ones. This changes everything we know about vision, Rethvon said finally. With 3 different cone types humans can detect, they can differentiate between what? Jiho asked. Rethvon turned to face him. Between different wavelengths of light. Not just brightness, but the actual wavelength itself. You can see what we cannot. The room went silent. All the humans looked at each other. Wait, Suman said. Are you saying that you can't see colors? None of you? What are colors? Rethvon asked. Suman pulled out her data tablet and showed an image of a rainbow. These are colors. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Different wavelengths of visible light. Rethvon looked at the screen. I see a gradient from dark gray to light gray. Oh my God, Yuna whispered. That's why you didn't understand the paintings. At the same moment, across the station, a human programmer named Taiyang was having his own revelation. He was working with alien technicians to transfer Earth's databases to assembly computer systems. But something kept going wrong. Why do you keep deleting information? Taiyang asked, frustrated. The alien technician, who had too many eyes on stalks, looked confused. We are removing redundant data. Your image files contain 3 layers of the same information. We compress it down to 1 layer. They're not the same information. Those are the red, green, and blue channels. We do not know what those words mean. The 3 layers show the same image at different brightness levels. We keep 1 layer. This is standard data compression. Taiyang stared at his screen. The alien systems had stripped away 2/3 of every image's data. To human eyes, the images now looked strange and wrong, all tinted gray with only 1 color channel remaining. Stop, Taiyang said urgently. Stop all transfers. We need to talk to the biologists right now. When Taiyang arrived at the medical bay and heard what Zemrith and Rethvon had discovered, everything made sense. He showed them what the compression had done to human images. You see, he explained, human technology is built around 3-channel color. Our screens emit red, green, and blue light. Our cameras capture red, green, and blue data. Our eyes see red, green, and blue. To us, these are completely different things. But to you? To us, they are the same, Rethvon finished. We have been discarding the majority of your visual data because we cannot perceive it. Jiho ran his hand through his hair. How is this possible? How can humans be the only species in the entire galaxy that sees in color? I do not know, Rethvon admitted. But we must inform the assembly immediately. This discovery is significant beyond measure. Zemrith bubbled nervously. Some will not react well to this news. Humans will be seen as having an advantage. An unfair one. It's not unfair, Nari protested. We were just born this way. I know, Zemrith said gently. But not everyone will see it that way. Deho, who had started this whole discovery, spoke up quietly. Is there any way for you to see what we see? Can we show you colors? Rethvon clicked her mandibles together thoughtfully. Perhaps, if we could build a device that translates wavelength variations into something our visual systems can process. But it would be complicated. We'll help, Taiyang said immediately. Human engineers will work with your scientists. We want you to understand. Hyunwoo, the military officer, looked concerned. Before we do that, we should consider the implications. If aliens can suddenly detect things they couldn't before, that changes military dynamics, combat capabilities, everything. We're not here to fight, Jiho said firmly. We're here to join the assembly as equals. That means sharing knowledge, even if it's difficult. Rethvon made a sound like wind through grass. You are generous. Many species would keep such an advantage secret. Knowledge isn't an advantage if nobody benefits from it, Suman said. Besides, maybe you have abilities we don't. Maybe every species does. We just need to learn to see what others see. Zemrith's tentacles waved in what might have been agreement. I will support this. But first we must inform the Council. They need to understand what humans are before decisions are made about Earth's membership. As the group prepared to leave the medical bay, Yuna turned to look at the gray walls around them. Wait, she said. Are the station walls actually gray? Or are they colored and we just can't tell because the lighting is wrong? Rethvon paused. They are what you call white, but they look gray to us. Interesting, Rethvon said. Perhaps your expectations of brightness are different because you process so much more visual information. There is much we need to learn from each other. The assembly chamber had never been so quiet. Over 800 species sat in their designated sections, all focused on the presentation happening at the center of the room. Jiho stood beside Chief Biologist Rethvon, trying to appear calm while his heart pounded. Rethvon's voice carried through the chamber via hundreds of translators. Members of the assembly, we have made a discovery that challenges our understanding of sensory perception. The human species possesses a visual capability that no other known sapient species has. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Jiho saw aliens turning to each other, their various forms of body language showing confusion or interest or concern. Humans have 3 types of photoreceptor cells in their eyes. Rethvon continued. We have one. This allows them to differentiate between different wavelengths of visible light in ways we cannot. An old alien in the front row leaned forward. This was Counselor Marventh, who had served the assembly for over 300 years. Marventh looked like a tree with too many branches and bark that seemed to glow faintly. Explain what this means in practical terms, Marventh said in a creaking voice. Jiho stepped forward. With your permission, Counselor, I can demonstrate. At Jiho's signal, Sora appeared. She was a human diplomat who had prepared a special presentation. She approached the main display screen and loaded an image. This is an image of Earth's sky during sunset, Sora explained. On the left side, you see it as humans see it. On the right side, you see it as everyone else in this room sees it. The screen split. On the left, vibrant oranges and pinks and purples painted the sky, with golden light reflecting off clouds. On the right, the same image appeared in shades of gray with only brightness variations visible. The silence in the chamber became absolute. Jiho could hear his own breathing. Finally, someone spoke. That cannot be real. It is real, Rethvon confirmed. We have verified this through extensive testing. Humans perceive millions of distinct variations in the visible spectrum. They call these variations colors. Counselor Marventh made a sound like cracking wood. Show us more. Sora displayed more images. A human face showing the pink of skin and red of blood under the surface. A forest with green leaves and brown bark. A coral reef with fish of every color imaginable. Each image appeared split, colorful on one side, grayscale on the other. This is why humans sort objects in ways that seem random to us, Rethvon explained. They group things by color, not just brightness or texture. This is why their art confused us. This is why they have thousands of words that seemed redundant. A delegate from the Melthin species stood up. The Melthin were warriors, respected but feared throughout the galaxy. This gives them an advantage. They can see things we cannot. Yes, Jiho admitted. There was no point in lying. But we didn't know everyone else couldn't see color until we came here. On Earth, color vision is normal. We thought everyone had it. Another alien spoke up. How do we know you are not deceiving us? Perhaps these images are fake. Researcher Prill, who had been investigating human culture, moved to the front. I have analyzed human history extensively. References to color appear in their oldest texts, their earliest art, their most ancient languages. Unless humans have been planning to deceive us for 10,000 years before meeting us, these perceptions are genuine. But why? Someone called out. Why do humans have this ability when no one else does? Suman, the xenobiologist, stepped forward. We believe it's because of Earth's biodiversity. Our planet has enormous variation in plant and animal life. Being able to see color helped our ancestors survive. They could tell if fruit was ripe by its color. They could spot poisonous plants or dangerous animals. They could see if someone was sick by changes in skin color. Many species evolved without needing color vision because their planets didn't require it, Suman continued. But Earth practically demanded it. Counselor Marventh was silent for a long time. Then the ancient alien spoke in a voice full of wonder. For 300 years I have seen the universe. I have traveled to 1,000 worlds. I have watched stars be born and die. And now you tell me I have been seeing only a fraction of what exists? Yes, Counselor, Jiho said gently. What does this chamber look like to you? Marventh asked. Jiho looked around. The walls are silver and blue. Your section is decorated with gold and green. That species over there has purple markings. The assembly symbol above us is red and white. To me, it is all varying shades of brightness, Marventh said. Light and dark and nothing between. A delegate stood up angrily. This is unacceptable. If humans can see things we cannot, they should not be allowed in the assembly. They will use this advantage against us. How? Jiho challenged. How does seeing that your shirt is blue instead of gray help me deceive you? Color doesn't change facts. It doesn't change truth. It's just another way of perceiving the same reality. But more delegates were standing now, voicing concerns. The chamber filled with noise from hundreds of different species, all talking at once. Some were curious, some were angry, some were frightened. Hyunwoo leaned close to Jiho and whispered, "This is going badly." Before Jiho could respond, Counselor Marventh raised all his branch-like limbs. The chamber slowly quieted. "There is a simple solution," Marventh said. The humans claim they can show us what they see. Let them prove it. Let them build devices that translate their color perception into something we can understand. Jiho nodded quickly. We can do that. Our engineers are already working with your scientists on the concept. Then we will wait, Marventh decided. We will adjourn this session and reconvene when humans can demonstrate their color vision in a way we can verify. Until then, Earth's membership status is suspended pending investigation. The word suspended hit Jiho like a physical blow. They had come so close to joining the galactic community, and now they were being pushed back. But Marventh wasn't finished. However, humans will remain as guests of the assembly. They will have access to our facilities and our cooperation. We will not treat them as enemies for having different eyes. Thank you, Counselor, Jiho said, bowing deeply. As the chamber emptied, delegates passed the human group. Some stopped to look at them with obvious curiosity. Others hurried past, avoiding eye contact or whatever their species equivalent was. Prill approached Jiho. I am sorry the session did not go better. It went as well as could be expected, Jiho admitted. We just revealed that we can perceive something they can't. That's frightening. I am not frightened, Prill said. I am excited. For the first time in my life, I realize there are things I have not seen, entire layers of reality that I have been blind to. When you show me colors, the universe will be new again. Sora smiled at the small alien. We'll do our best, Prill. And maybe while we're teaching you to see colors, you can teach us what we're missing. Every species must have unique perceptions. Perhaps, Prill agreed. This could be the beginning of something wonderful, or terrible. We will find out together. Jiho looked at the now empty assembly chamber. The alien saw it as gray and unremarkable. He saw it full of color, silver walls, golden light, the blue curve of the planet below. Soon, if everything worked, the aliens would see it too, and nothing would ever be the same. Minho wiped sweat from his forehead and stared at the device on his workbench. 3 months had passed since the assembly learned about human color vision. 3 months of working 16-hour days with alien scientists who didn't understand what they were trying to build. The device looked like a pair of goggles with extra sensors attached. Minho had lost count of how many prototypes they'd built. The problem was simple to describe, but nearly impossible to solve. How do you show someone something they've never seen before? Try it again, said his partner, an alien named Vexith. Vexith had crystalline skin that rang like bells when he moved. Minho activated the goggles and handed them to Vexith. The alien put them on carefully, adjusting them to fit his face, which had 6 eyes instead of 2. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Vexith made a sound like shattering glass and ripped the goggles off. Too much, Vexith gasped. Too much information. My brain cannot process. I know, Minho said, catching the goggles. We need to reduce the intensity. Again. This was the constant problem. The goggles worked by translating different wavelengths into patterns that alien visual systems could detect. But whenever the aliens tried them, they became overwhelmed. Seeing color for the first time was like suddenly gaining a new sense. Down the hall, other teams were having similar struggles, but slowly progress was made. A breakthrough came when they realized that aliens needed to start with just 2 colors. Not the full spectrum. Humans saw red, green, and blue. The goggles could teach aliens to see those 3 separately. Finally, after 4 months of work, they had a working prototype. The first public demonstration was held in a small garden that humans had built inside the station. Grass, flowers, and small trees grew under artificial sunlight. To the humans, it was beautiful. To the aliens, it was just a room with various gray plants. General Krethix attended the demonstration. He was the military commander of the assembly, a being that looked like armor given life. He had fought in a dozen wars and feared nothing. But when Minho handed him the goggles, Krethix hesitated. What if I do not like what I see? Krethix asked. Then you take them off, Minho said simply. No one is forcing you. Krethix put on the goggles. Minho activated them at the lowest setting. For 10 seconds, Krethix stood completely still. Then he made a sound the translator couldn't interpret. His armored body shook. General? Minho asked, worried. Are you okay? Krethix slowly reached out and touched a rose. The flower was red, a deep crimson red that humans had chosen specifically because it was striking. This is... Krethix struggled with words. This is not gray. It is something else entirely, something... Beautiful? Minho suggested. Yes, Krethix whispered. Beautiful. I understand that word now. I thought I knew what it meant, but I did not. Not until this moment. Krethix walked through the garden like a person in a dream. He touched green leaves and seemed amazed that they were different from red flowers. He stared at the brown bark of trees. He knelt down to look at tiny yellow dandelions growing in the grass. My whole life, Krethix said, I have led soldiers into battle. I have seen planets burn. I have watched stars from 1,000 different worlds. And I have seen nothing compared to this simple garden. Word of Krethix's reaction spread quickly. More aliens wanted to try the goggles. Production teams worked around the clock to build enough devices. Within weeks, thousands of aliens had experienced color for the first time. Reactions varied wildly. Some aliens loved it and wore their goggles constantly. Others tried it once and never again, saying it gave them headaches. A few became obsessed, refusing to take the goggles off even to sleep. Researcher Prill was in the obsessed category. After trying the goggles, Prill began writing papers about color theory faster than anyone could read them. The small alien followed humans around asking endless questions. Why is the sky blue? Prill demanded of Yuna one day. It has to do with how light scatters in the atmosphere, Yuna explained. Blue light scatters more than red light, so amazing! And why are plants green? Chlorophyll reflects green light while absorbing other colors for photosynthesis. So the color I see is the wavelength the plant doesn't want? Exactly. Prill vibrated with excitement. This changes everything about biology, about evolution, about physics. We must study Earth plants immediately. But not everyone was happy about the discovery. Trade disputes began emerging. Some alien merchants claimed that humans had cheated them in past deals by using color vision as an advantage. They demanded audits and refunds. Jiho spent exhausting days in meetings defending humanity. We didn't even know you couldn't see color. How could we have used it to cheat you? A trader from the Vexlon species slammed a limb on the table. You sold us grade A premium goods that were actually discolored rejects. We paid full price for garbage. The goods met all the specifications in the contract, Jiho countered. They performed as advertised. If color wasn't mentioned in the quality standards, that's not our fault. You should have told us. We didn't know there was anything to tell. It was exhausting and frustrating. Some aliens seemed determined to be angry no matter what humans said. In the science labs, Suman made an important discovery. She was studying data about alien homeworlds when she noticed a pattern. She called an emergency meeting with the human delegation. Look at this, Suman said, displaying planetary data. Most alien species evolved on worlds with much less visual diversity than Earth. Their plants are similar colors, similar brightnesses, I mean. Their animals blend together. Their geology is uniform, so? Hyunwoo asked. So they never needed color vision because their environments didn't reward it. But Earth is different. Earth has enormous biodiversity. Thousands of plant species, millions of animal species, complex ecosystems where being able to differentiate colors meant the difference between eating poison or food, seeing a predator or not. Earth practically forced us to develop color vision, Nari realized. Exactly, Suman confirmed. This isn't about humans being superior. It's about Earth being unusually diverse. In a way, we're products of our environment just like everyone else. This information helped calm some of the tensions. When aliens understood that color vision wasn't a human advantage but an Earth requirement, they became less hostile. Some even began to wonder what advantages their own homeworlds had given them. A delegate from the Thormac species approached Jiho after one meeting. My people can hear sounds at frequencies you cannot, the Thormac said. We thought this was normal, but perhaps it is special, like your colors. Probably, Jiho agreed. Maybe every species has unique abilities shaped by their home worlds. Then we should study each other, the Thormac said. Not with suspicion, but with curiosity. I'd like that, Jiho smiled. 6 months after the revelation, a strange new trend emerged. Young aliens began wearing color translation goggles as fashion statements. They decorated them with patterns and symbols. Some aliens modified their goggles to see colors that didn't even exist in nature, creating new wavelengths to perceive. They're going beyond what humans can see, Taeyang reported, sounding amazed and a little jealous. They're inventing new colors, Yuna laughed. Good for them. Color vision was never about humans being special. It was about opening doors to new perceptions. If they can go further than us, that's wonderful. Meanwhile, human engineers worked with aliens to build better and better translation devices. The latest models were tiny, no bigger than contact lenses. They could be worn comfortably for days at a time. General Krethix wore his everywhere. Other military leaders did too. Slowly, the military began to realize what human color vision meant for combat. But that was a conversation for another day. For now, the galaxy was adjusting to a new reality. Millions of aliens were truly seeing for the first time. Art galleries opened featuring human paintings. Gardens were planted on stations throughout assembly space. A whole new appreciation for visual aesthetics was born, and in a small way, the galaxy was becoming more human, or maybe humans were becoming more galactic. It was hard to tell the difference anymore. The message arrived at midnight, station time. Jiho read it twice, his stomach sinking with each word. The Security Council wanted to see him immediately. The message was marked classified and urgent. Hyunwoo accompanied him to the meeting. As they walked through empty corridors, the military officer spoke quietly. "I've been expecting this. Someone was bound to realize what color vision means for combat. We're not here to fight anyone," Jiho said. "I know, but they don't know that yet." The Security Council chamber was deep inside the station, behind multiple security checkpoints. When they arrived, Jiho saw that only the most senior military leaders of the assembly were present. General Krethix sat at the head of the table. Commander Vaxilon, a species that looked like living smoke, floated beside him. Ambassador Jiho. Officer Hyunwoo, "Thank you for coming," Krethix said. His voice was hard to read, as always. "Of course, General," Jiho replied, sitting down carefully. Vaxilon spoke, his translated voice cold. "We have analyzed the military implications of human color vision. Our findings are concerning. A holographic display activated showing a combat simulation. 2 spacecraft fought among asteroids. To Jiho's eyes, one ship was clearly visible, bright red against dark gray rocks. But he realized the aliens in the simulation couldn't see that contrast. In this scenario, Vaxilon continued, the human ship is painted red. Against the gray asteroids, humans can spot it immediately. But to us it is camouflaged perfectly. The brightness matches the background. Hyunwoo leaned forward. "With respect, Commander, that's not a human advantage. That's a mistake in your camouflage design. You've been using brightness-based camouflage because that's all you can see. But in reality, many objects in space have different colors at the same brightness." "Precisely," Vaxilon said, "which means human pilots have been operating with a significant tactical advantage, and we did not know it." Krethix added, "We reviewed combat data from border skirmishes near human space. Human patrol ships have a 97% success rate at spotting intruders. We assumed this was due to advanced sensor technology, but now we wonder if human eyes are simply better at detection." Jiho felt the weight of accusation in the words. "General, we've only had a handful of border encounters. 97% of a small number is still a small number. And yes, our sensors are good, but our eyes help too. We've never hidden that." "Because you did not know you needed to reveal it," Krethix acknowledged. "We understand. But that does not change the tactical situation." Another officer spoke up. This was Commander Yelthin, a species covered in spikes. "Some on the council believe we should restrict human access to military zones. Keep them away from defense information until we better understand their capabilities." "That would be a mistake," Hyunwoo said firmly. "Treating us as a threat will make us a threat." "Is that a warning?" Yelthin's spike stood up. "No, it's a fact. You want us as allies, not enemies." Vaxilon made a sound like wind through a cave. "The Torvanix Empire has issued a formal challenge. They claim human military capabilities are exaggerated. They want to test human forces in war games exercises." Jiho's blood ran cold. The Torvanix were the galaxy's premier military contractors. They trained armies and sold weapons. They were proud and aggressive and very, very good at warfare. "If we refuse?" Jiho asked. "It will be seen as an admission of weakness or deception," Krethix said. "The Torvanix will use your refusal to argue against Earth's membership. Others will join them." Hyunwoo and Jiho looked at each other. Finally, Hyunwoo spoke. "We accept. But we want fair terms. No tricks, no setups designed to make us fail." "Agreed," Krethix said. "I will oversee the exercises personally to ensure fairness." The war games were scheduled for 2 weeks later. In that time, Hyunwoo assembled a small team of human military personnel who happened to be on the station as part of various delegations. There was Junho, a scout with incredible observation skills. Eri, a pilot who had won awards for navigation. Woo Jin, a medic with years of field experience. We're not trying to humiliate the Torvanics, Hyunwoo told his team. We're trying to demonstrate that color vision is useful, not threatening. We do our job competently and professionally. And if they try to humiliate us, Junyo asked. Then we do our job excellently and professionally, Hyunwoo said with a slight smile. The war games took place in a massive simulation arena that could recreate any combat environment. The Torvanics brought their best units, soldiers who had trained together for years. The humans were a team of 7 who had met 2 weeks ago. The first exercise was reconnaissance. Both teams had to locate and identify hidden targets in a complex environment. The environment was an asteroid field with abandoned structures floating among the rocks. The Torvanics team moved systematically, using scanners and careful visual searches. They found 3 targets in 20 minutes. The human team, with Junho leading, found all 7 targets in 8 minutes. How? Demanded the Torvanics commander. Junho pointed at one target. That structure is painted blue-gray. The asteroid behind it is red-gray. Same brightness to you, but different colors to me. It stood out immediately. The Torvanics commander growled but said nothing. The second exercise was flight navigation through a hazardous course. Pilots had to avoid obstacles while moving at high speed. The course included areas where asteroids and mines were deliberately placed at similar brightness levels to confuse visual detection. The Torvanics pilot completed the course in 4 minutes with 2 collisions. Airy completed it in 2 minutes and 30 seconds with 0 collisions. Impossible, the Torvanics pilot shouted. You must have memorized the course. I can see the mines, Airy explained patiently. They're bright red. The asteroids are brown. To me, they look completely different even when scanners say they're the same brightness. The third exercise was medical triage. Both teams were presented with simulated casualties and had to prioritize treatment. The injuries were designed to be subtle, requiring careful observation to diagnose correctly. Woo Jin moved through the casualties quickly, making decisions that seemed almost instant. He correctly identified which patients needed immediate treatment and which could wait. The Torvanics medic was slower and made 3 incorrect assessments. How did you know that patient was in shock? The Torvanics medic asked Woo Jin. His skin was pale gray instead of healthy pink gray. Also, his lips were turning blue, which indicates low oxygen. I could see the color changes immediately. Exercise after exercise continued. The humans didn't win everything. The Torvanics were truly skilled soldiers with better equipment and more experience. But in situations where visual detection mattered, humans had a consistent advantage. By the end of the day, the Torvanics commander approached Hyunwoo. The commander looked tired and perhaps a bit humbled. Your people fight well, the commander said stiffly. Thank you. So do yours, Hyunwoo replied. I do not like admitting this, but you see the battlefield differently than we do. In a real war, that could be the difference between victory and defeat. It could be, Hyunwoo agreed. But we'd rather be allies than enemies. Imagine if your experience combined with our perception. We'd be unstoppable together. The commander considered this. Perhaps. I will report to my superiors that humans are formidable but honorable. That is the best I can offer. That's all we ask. That evening, Krethik summoned Jiho and Hyunwoo to his office. The general looked different somehow, more relaxed. You handled this well, Krethik said. The Torvanics respect strength and you showed strength. But you also showed wisdom by not pressing your advantage. What happens now? Jiho asked. Now the assembly must decide what to do with you, Krethik said. Some will see today's demonstration as proof that humans are dangerous. Others will see it as proof that humans would be valuable allies. The vote will be close. What do you think, General? Hyunwoo asked. Krethik was silent for a moment. Finally, he spoke. I think the galaxy has been at peace for too long. We have become complacent. The discovery of human color vision has reminded us that we do not know everything, that there are always new capabilities to discover, new threats to prepare for, new allies to value. The general stood and walked to a window. Outside, stars shone in the darkness. I have worn color translation goggles every day since I first tried them, Krethik said. The universe is more beautiful than I imagined. Also more dangerous. I can see threats I never noticed before. But mostly it is more beautiful. He turned back to face them. I will speak in favor of human membership. Not because you are harmless, you clearly are not, but because you have shown us something valuable, and because I believe we are better together than apart. Thank you, General, Jiho said. Do not thank me yet. Many will vote against you. Be prepared for rejection. As they left Krethix's office, Hyunwoo spoke quietly. We might actually have a chance. Maybe, Jiho agreed. Or maybe we've just scared them too much. We'll find out soon enough. 6 months had passed since the War Games. 6 months of debate, arguments, negotiations, and endless meetings. Today, the Galactic Assembly would finally vote on Earth's membership. Jiho stood in the preparation chamber with the rest of the human delegation. Everyone was quiet, lost in their own thoughts. They had done everything possible to convince the Assembly that humanity deserved a place among the stars. Now it was out of their hands. Whatever happens, Jiho said to his team, you've all done an incredible job. Earth is proud of you. Nari smiled weakly. I just hope it was enough, a tone sounded. It was time. They walked into the assembly chamber together. The massive room was completely full. Every species, every delegate, every observer who could fit into the space was there. The vote would be broadcast across the entire galaxy. Counselor Marventh stood at the center of the chamber. The ancient alien looked even older than usual, as if the weight of this decision had aged him. We gathered today to vote on humanity's petition for full membership in the Galactic Assembly, Marventh began. This has been one of the most debated issues in Assembly history. We have learned much about humans. Perhaps more importantly, we have learned much about ourselves. Marventh paused, letting his words sink in. For 10,000 years, we believed we saw reality clearly. We built civilizations, created art, waged wars, and made peace, all while experiencing only a fraction of the visible spectrum that exists around us. The humans have shown us we were living in partial darkness. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Jiho noticed some aliens nodding, others remaining still and silent. The question before us is not whether humans are different. Marventh continued. They clearly are. The question is whether their difference makes them dangerous or valuable. Some argue that human color vision gives them an unfair advantage. Others argue it makes them essential allies. A delegate stood up. Jiho recognized Commander Yelthin, the one who had wanted to restrict human access. I speak against human membership. They have sensory capabilities that give them tactical advantages we cannot match. They could use this to dominate us. They could, Marventh acknowledged, but they have not. Instead, they shared their technology freely. They helped us build devices to see what they see. They answered every question we asked. Does this sound like a species planning domination? Another delegate rose. This was Prill, now officially a voice in assembly debates. I speak for human membership. The discovery of color vision has revolutionized our understanding of biology, physics, and sensory perception. Human scientists have worked tirelessly with our researchers, sharing knowledge and insights. They have made the assembly stronger. More delegates spoke, some for, some against. The arguments went on for hours. Jiho listened to each one, his hope rising and falling like waves. Finally, General Krethix stood. The military leader's voice carried weight that made everyone listen. I have fought in wars that some of you do not remember, Krethix said. I have seen species join the assembly and species leave it. I have watched alliances form and break. I have learned to judge others by their actions, not their capabilities. Krethix turned to look directly at the human delegation. Humans have unusual abilities. This is true, but I have also worn their color translation devices every single day for 6 months. I have seen the universe transformed. I have experienced beauty I did not know existed, and I have realized something important. The general paused for effect. We were arrogant. We thought we knew everything about reality. We thought our perception was complete. The humans proved us wrong, and instead of being angry about this, we should be grateful. They showed us we still have much to learn. I vote for human membership, Krethix said firmly. Not because they are harmless, but because they are honest. Not because they are weak, but because they choose cooperation over domination. We need more species like this in the assembly, not fewer. Marventh nodded slowly. Thank you, General. Are there any final statements before we vote? Jiho stood up. May I speak, Counselor? Ambassador Jiho, you may. Jiho walked to the center of the chamber. He looked around at hundreds of alien faces, alien eyes, alien beings who were deciding Earth's future. I won't lie to you, Jiho said. Humans can see things you can't, that's true. But I've also learned in my time here that every species in this room can probably do things humans can't. Maybe you can hear sounds we can't hear. Maybe you can smell chemicals we can't detect. Maybe you can sense magnetic fields or radiation or dimensions we don't know exist. He turned slowly, making eye contact with as many delegates as possible. We came here thinking we were normal and you were too. We all thought our perception of reality was the standard one. But the truth is, every species experiences the universe differently. Every species has unique abilities shaped by their homeworlds, their evolution, their history. The question isn't whether humans are special, Jiho continued. The question is what we do with our differences. Do we fear them? Do we use them to divide ourselves? Or do we share them? Do we learn from each other? Do we build something greater than any species could build alone? The chamber was completely silent now. Earth wants to join the assembly not to gain power over you, but to learn from you, Jiho said. We want to see what you see. We want to hear what you hear. We want to understand what you understand. And we want to share what we have in return. That's what membership means to us. Not dominance, partnership. Jiho returned to his seat. His heart was pounding so hard he thought everyone could hear it. Marventh stood again. It is time to vote. Those in favor of granting humanity full membership in the Galactic Assembly, signal now. Lights began appearing throughout the chamber, each species' way of indicating their vote. Jiho tried to count them, but there were too many, and he didn't know which lights meant yes and which meant no. The voting continued for several minutes. Finally, the last light appeared. Marventh consulted with other senior counselors. The wait was agonizing. Jiho felt Nari grab his hand and squeeze it tight. The votes have been counted, Marventh announced. 432 species voted in favor. 415 voted against. Jiho couldn't breathe. Was that enough? What was the requirement for membership? A simple majority is required for membership, Marventh said, and Jiho thought he detected warmth in the ancient voice. By a margin of 17 votes, humanity has been accepted as a full member of the Galactic Assembly. The chamber erupted. Some species cheered in their various ways. Others sat in angry silence. Some seemed neutral, accepting the decision without strong feelings either way. Jiho felt tears running down his face. Beside him, Yuna was crying too. Hyunwoo stood at attention, military discipline keeping his emotions controlled but his eyes shining. Suman hugged Nari. Taeyang punched the air in victory. However, Marventh said, and the chamber quieted. Membership comes with conditions. Here it comes, Jiho thought. The restrictions, the limitations. Humans must agree to the following, Marventh listed. First, you will share your color translation technology freely with all assembly species. Second, you will assist in developing educational materials about spectrum perception and sensory diversity. Third, you will agree to transparency protocols regarding any advantages your sensory abilities may provide in trade, military, or diplomatic contexts. We accept all conditions, Jiho said immediately. Then it is done, Marventh said. Welcome to the assembly, humans of Earth. The celebration lasted 3 days. Humans and aliens alike gathered to mark the occasion. Color translation devices were distributed to thousands more aliens. Human artists held exhibitions. Alien musicians performed in sounds humans had never heard before. On the evening of the 3rd day, Jiho stood with Counselor Marventh on an observation deck. They watched a nearby nebula together, Marventh wearing his color translation goggles. It's beautiful, the old alien said softly. So many shades of purple and blue and orange. For 300 years I passed through this system and saw only gray mist. I called it the shadow veil because it was barely visible. We call it the iris nebula, Jiho said, because it looks like the colored part of an eye. Marventh removed his goggles and looked at the nebula with his natural vision. Just faint gray shapes. He put the goggles back on and gasped softly as the colors returned. How many other wonders have we missed? Marventh asked. How many more might we still be missing that other species could teach us to see? That, Jiho said, is the real discovery. Not that humans can see color, but that every species might perceive reality in ways others cannot imagine. The galaxy is far stranger and more wonderful than any of us knew. Marventh made a sound like rustling leaves. Tomorrow the Assembly Council will announce a new initiative. We are establishing the Perceptual Diversity Institute. Its mission will be to discover and catalog the unique sensory abilities of every species, to share these discoveries with all members, to ensure we never again assume our perception is the only perception. Who will lead this institute? Jiho asked. Researcher Prill has been selected as director, Marventh said. And we would like scientist Yuna to serve as human co-director if she accepts. Jiho smiled. She'll accept. This is exactly the kind of work she loves. They stood together in comfortable silence watching the colorful nebula.